Cobra Nation, we're back for another year of your favorite show. Number one show in the NAL as always. Really excited for this opportunity to be back for third season with y'all. We got a lot of stuff planned, how to make the show the best, continue to be the best. Crazy offseason so far, with the NAL. I mean, there's so much we could talk about with the NAL offseason. It's been a wild ride from 5 teams to where we're at now with 10 and possibly more to come. Just so much to dive into. Today we'll talk a lot about Coach. We'll talk with Coach Negron. We'll talk to Coach Clark. And, really excited for the opportunity. I think with the NAL, it's going to be ultra competitive. I think it's going to be the most NAL competitive season of all time. You look back at 2018, those glory years in the NAL, this season is going to be more competitive. You look across the board, the head coaches you have in the league, Patrick Pimmel, Coach Bernie in Harrisburg, just Coach Herb, Coach Tatum. I mean, you can go down the list. You have Coach Shaw in Colorado. And outside, there's a couple teams I can look at right now and say, okay, they're not making playoffs. But other than that, I feel every team is in it. I feel there's, right now, out of 10 teams, I can say there's 8 that will be in the playoff race. Really consistently. I know it's early. I know I sound crazy for saying that. Our coaching staff has taken a huge transformation. We brought in guys with experience, hunger, and willingness to learn and develop, and I think that's really important. I think last year, we brought in guys with maybe not a lot of experience, and that's no shot at them. I think they did a, admirable job for guys who, maybe didn't understand the arena game before, but these guys understand the arena game. They eat, sleep, breathe. They've gone through it as players as well, so they understand that grind and the mental, toughness that it takes to get to the highest level of football. I think what we see across the board from championship teams is getting guys that buy into the system. Not guys who maybe are a name on a page or what they've done in the past. They have to buy into the culture. They have to buy into Carolina. They have to buy into the Cobras logo in order to be successful. That's what you see from a team like Duluth, Arizona. Those teams, Omaha, those teams that win championships are teams that everyone has all their hands on deck. And we got to find a group of guys and identify that in the offseason and in free agency. And I think free agency is where championships are won. I think, obviously you make changes, but with a 10-game season in the NAL, you don't have a lot of time to make changes. So you have to find that group right off the bat. You can't wait till week 4, week 5, because, then stuff gets, a little shaky or whatever. But I'm really excited. I'm really excited for the season. I think there's so many great matchups. There's going to be teams that are going to break within 4 weeks, and there's going to be teams that are going to be surprising within the first 4 weeks. We might have a week 5 where we're talking about Fred Shaw leaving Colorado or resigning. That could be a potential, right? There's so many possibilities. The list goes on. But without further ado, I want to introduce someone who's very well respected. I have a lot of respect for on Shady Sports. My co-host for tonight, Cool. What's up, Cool? How you doing tonight? But no, I'm really excited. What's going on? I'm really excited to get this interview with Coach in. I wanted to ask you, Cool, though. You went to a couple home games last year. You kind of experienced it as a first-time fan experiencing the arena game. What was one of your biggest takeaways?
It was just a lot of energy in the building. Like, right, it doesn't have to be packed. Obviously, you want it packed. That makes sense, but it doesn't have to be packed. You can just feel the energy. It's more fast paced. It's more fun. Obviously, it's a little bit more offensive driven, so it gives you, the highlights and the things that we want to see. So, a lot of energy, real fun. Just a lot of, positive and sometimes a little bit of aggressiveness, and you gotta have that. It's football.
No doubt. And tonight also we have a special promotion going on. We have a ticket giveaway. We're going to announce at the end of the show who won that giveaway. Really excited for that announcement. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce someone that I'm really fond of. Have a lot of respect for. Can't wait to be doing this for a second season with him. Third season, technically, Coach Negron. Coach, how you doing tonight?
What's up, guys? How are you?
I'm doing good. Kind of going off from football. How's your health? How's the family? How's everything?
Health is good. I feel great. I think I've gotten a decent amount of rest since the end of the season. Family's good. My 17-year-old daughter Rita just went to UNC Charlotte, and My granddaughter's doing good. I think the kids are ready to go back to school. Too much time at the house, but I'm doing well. Everybody's doing good. One of you guys is muted. Maybe both of you.
Okay, here. Can you hear me, Coach?
Yes, sir, I can.
All right, perfect. So, Coach, last season didn't quite end, I know, the way you wanted it to, but a lot of promise for next year. Are you excited about the changes that you guys are making and are going to make for next season?
I am. I think, first off, the season did not go the way we wanted it to. Your goal is to control your own destiny. We did that, and when you don't take advantage of that, that hurts, right? You don't like that. But it's. I'm going to say this half believing it, but I mean, look, it's not completely about winning a championship.
Right.
I think at this level, you want to put guys in a position to elevate, and I think we did a good job of putting a lot of guys on the map and giving players opportunities to elevate to other leagues. At the end of the day, my owners, I believe, at least from a coaching perspective, should be judging me by wins and losses, right? And so, you want to be on the better end of that. But, look, a lot of great things came out of that. Guy Myers put himself on the map. Everybody knows he's a force to be reckoned with if they didn't know that before. James Summers reminded people what kind of player he is. Gibson Zaya had a great year defensively. Kevin Simmons, great year. Joe Powell got back to the UFL. I mean, it's not all bad, but I didn't become a head coach to get participation trophies. I want the championship. So we reload, we rebuild, and we make decisions to get ready for 2025.
Now, first off, shout out to Rita on her new journey at UNC Charlotte. Another young man that happened to go to UNC Charlotte by the name of Dom Schaffner, quarterback you had in camp last year. Huge fan of him. Have you had conversations, him being local? I know you mentioned previously you want to stay local this year. Have those conversations been had?
They have. I've talked to Dom. I like Dom a lot. I liked Dom a lot in camp last year. Look, we had good quarterbacks in camp last year. Guy was phenomenal. He set himself apart, and that made it hard to keep some of those other guys. But Dom is very talented. I think he could do some amazing things in our offense. And I have been talking to him along with some other guys. But I'd be remiss if I didn't say that Dom Schaffner is one of the guys that's at the top of my list to bring in for 2025.
So, Coach, speaking about players bringing in for 2025, what is like your archetype for guys when you're looking for players? I know positions are different, but just, like personality, fit with the team, things like that. What's kind of like your archetype for players when you're looking for them to bring in?
I think you always, the same cliches that you probably hear from a lot of coaches. You want guys that buy into the system and so forth. I need guys that appreciate the journey, right? I think, there's no money in arena football. There just isn't, right? So if you're playing at this level, you're taking the harder route to the higher levels of this game that you want to play in, right? So, if you're looking for a financial windfall or, you believe that this is something that, can support your family, you're crazy, right? So you have to love the game. And I just need 25 guys that love the game, that want to be students of the game. One thing I'll say about my team last year, they absolutely love the game. They were extremely professional through all the ups and downs of the season last season. And I think that's a big thing. This is professional football, but it's at a different pay grade, right? So, I think when you get an understanding of that and you come in and you remind yourself why you got into the game in the first place, those are the types of guys that I want to coach. I want guys that want to use this platform to showcase themselves within the scope of the team to then elevate. Every year that I've been a member of this team, I look at the guys that were able to move on to the next level. I'll use a guy like Sam Castronova and just look at what that guy did last season in the IFL. What do you have? 100 touchdowns and offensive player of the year, and just year after year, that kid elevated from one position to the other, or one team to the other, one league to the other. And, I remember when he was the rookie starter for the Cobras in 2021, right? So, that's the kind of work ethic I want. And I've been lucky to be around a lot of guys like that. But just also guys that have an understanding of what this level is, and use it as an opportunity to become better professionals and better men.
We oftentimes deal with guys who talk about UFL, CFL. That's their only focus, right? They pay $2,000 to go to a CFL workout and claim it's a private workout. But you want guys to embrace, like, being in Carolina. You want them to treat the NAL like their NFL. So how do you identify those guys? Is it talking to them one-on-one multiple times? What steps have you been taking compared to last season to identify those guys who want to buy into the coaching?
A couple of my guys, especially CJ Kane, used to say this in the locker room. He used to say, "Be where your feet are." Right. So you look for guys that understand that concept. I'm not knocking the hustle of trying to get to the UFL or trying to get to the CFL. But by all means, you should want to do that. And look, you have a limited time in this game to make it to those levels, right? This is not baseball where you can play into your 40s. Basketball. I mean, LeBron James is an anomaly, but the reality is he's 40 years old. So, this isn't a sport that you can play that long. And depending on what position you're playing, your lifespan's even less, right? So, again, it goes back to I'm not knocking the hustle, but you have to be where your feet are at the time. And if you put your best foot forward, you'll get noticed again. Look, Joe Powell was fully focused on being with the Cobras when he was with us last season for 5 games. He wasn't looking to better deal us. He played his ass off, and then he got a better deal. Let's not forget that this kid was second in the league in interceptions with 5 less games than the next guy, right? So, that's because he put everything into the field he was playing on, and you couldn't help but notice what he did, right? That's why a guy like Guy Myers is going to move up, right? I'd love to bring Guy back, but people be crazy not to be offering that kid opportunities right now. He had 41 total touchdowns in his first full season as a quarterback in the Arena League, or in the National Arena League. So this is what this platform is for. But it's up to you to determine where you are in your career. I look at a guy like Tommy Armstrong, who was fully committed to Omaha and fully committed to the NAL. I don't think Tommy was ever looking to better deal or get somewhere else. His focus was to bring a championship to Omaha. He did it 2 years in a row. So, those are the type of guys I want. There's nothing wrong with, again, me having a conversation with a guy at the beginning of the season, and he tells me, "Look, coach, I want to use this as a platform to elevate to the UFL or CFL." The first thing I'm going to say to him is, "Well, focus on what you're doing here. And if you do that, somebody's going to find you, and we're going to help with that too." I mean, that's part of my job and my coaching staff's job is to showcase these guys for opportunities beyond Carolina and the NAL.
So, Coach, how do you balance when you're building a roster, when you're thinking about guys that you're looking at to bring in even after the season starts? How do you balance the guys that you feel like may not complete the season or possibly won't complete the season because of how great they play and they get noticed? How are you able to kind of balance the roster to keep yourself competitive and still give those guys those opportunities when they come, even if it's midseason?
I don't ever go into the mindset thinking a guy is not going to complete the season. I assume and I make clear to them in conversations that my expectation is that they finish the season. Now, if that doesn't happen because they get called to a higher level, then kudos to them. It could also go the other way, right? We don't go into a signing thinking we're going to cut somebody halfway into the season. We assume they're going to be there the whole time, right? So I go into it kind of with that mindset, and I don't think this is a good thing, but I mean, there's just a lot of guys out there, right? So if you're gonna lose somebody, your hope is that you find a viable replacement for them. There are certain guys that I think we'd agree are irreplaceable, but those are few and far between. This is a game where we are blessed with a lot of athletes that want opportunities. So you hope that you fill a void of a player that moves on with someone else that wanted an opportunity. I could tell you, we never truly filled the void with Joe Powell. We tried with Mike Green, but the league rules wouldn't allow us to do that. But that's the type of guy that it becomes difficult to replace, right? So you don't go into it with a backup plan, but you're always looking at guys, man. Even during the season, you're looking at guys. You're keeping names on radars, and that way, if an opportunity presents itself where you have somebody to bring in, you can just kind of plug and play.
Coach, I want to step away from the football side of things and talk about the business side. Last year towards the end of the season, you partnered with the club, to kind of get extra promotion, and it was kind of a Hail Mary, but it worked, right? You look at nightlife, and I've been studying nightclubs and the business of that. How much do you think of that correlates to arena football in general from a business model, and how do you plan to make your product more appealing to maybe the younger college age generation?
Well, football's the easy part, Krish. I'll be candid with you. If all I had to do was coach football, I wouldn't have all these gray hairs in my beard, right? The business side is tough. I love Greensboro. I love our fan base. It needs to grow. We are a team. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's funny. I read an article right before we got on the show about a couple teams that are in debts to their arena. They're not the only two, right? I don't have shame in admitting that we are paying off our arena as well. And you look at attendance, right? And you can tell whether a team is in the green or in the red, right? So, teams are not successful with 1,000 fans. Period, right? That's why I'm so proud of Coach Rez at Wheeling, right? I went to a Miners game. That arena probably seats, maybe 4,000 to 5,000. I'm not really sure. But it was 75% full. He's in the positive, right? So, for us, you're grabbing at straws sometimes, trying to figure out, what will bring more appeal to the team, right? We have a core fan base that I can count on being at every game, and I love them for that, and I'll continue to fight to keep us in Greensboro for them. But we need to increase our new fans. We need to bring new people in. So you try a club. Did it work? I don't know. Probably not the way I wanted it to, right? We've got a couple of colleges around the area. I'd like to see us do more with them, right? We tried to venture out into Winston a little bit with Dave and Buster's as our watch party location, thinking, all right, well, if they'll come to away games at Dave and Buster's, then they'll come to the home games. For Winston people, Greensboro is far. Right. And it's only 30 minutes, but that's 30 minutes they don't have to drive. Right. So, we're going to do a more focused grab on the city of Greensboro. I think we have the most exciting game around. We've got a minor league baseball team out here, and I love baseball. I was watching the Yankee game before I got on here, but it's not more exciting than an indoor football game. Right. And the old adage is once we get you in, you're hooked, right? So we got to do a better job of getting more people in the seats. For the Cobras to be successful and to stay in Greensboro for years to come, I need 4,000 to 5,000 fans a game. Period. At 4,000 to 5,000 fans a game, we'll never have any financial issues, in my opinion, right? So that's my focus from the business side. And look, last year we went all in. We were, in my opinion, lacking some support in certain areas. That's been rectified with John Kane taking over the team. He's doing all he can to give me the support I need to get the business back on track. But look, this arena game is not for the faint of heart when it comes to the business side and the finances. And until we are filling seats, paid seats, you and I you're gonna be asking me this question every year in the off season.
So kind of piggybacking off Chris's question a little bit, you mentioned the colleges, right? I went to College of Greensboro, so you got A&T, you got Greensboro College, you got UNC Greensboro, you got High Point University, not that far away, community college. So a lot of different campuses. Do you have any plans to maybe see if you can partner with the universities, maybe offer tickets at some type of a discounted rate to college students or something like that to maybe boost, and then of course get maybe some faculty involved in it as well?
Absolutely, and we'd love to partner with all the schools that are within that 10 to 15 mile radius of the Coliseum. I mean, right next to the Coliseum is UNCG. I mean, it's right
Hmm.
there, right? So I'd certainly like to see us do more with them, and I'm not going to promote uh, college kids drinking, so I'm just going to say that I could show a college kid a really good time for 10 to 15 bucks. All right, they can come and they could get a seat, and we'll give them a voucher for a Pepsi. I'm a dad. I got to be careful what I say here with college kids. I want them to behave. But we can fill a whole section with UNCG students. We could fill a whole other section with Guilford College students. We could fill a whole other section with Greensboro College students. What my biggest asset is seats, right? I got 18,000 seat arena where most of the teams in our league are able to sit at capacity 7 to 8,000, right? So I would love for college kids to come to our games, and the other thing about our games, they end 10 o'clock, and then you can go do your next thing, right? So yes, to answer your question, cool. I'm going to reach out to every college counselor, every admissions team, whatever I have to do to partner with the UNCGs, the Guilford colleges, the Greensboro colleges, the High Point universities. We're open to it. We tried to put a promotions team together kind of last year. It didn't pan out the way we wanted it to. And then of course one of our biggest staffing assets is interns, right? So we want interns involved. My interns are great. And so I'm going to put a little bit more pressure on them to bring their friends and have those friends invite more friends and hopefully fill some seats.
I would love to see Fangs, the mascot, at a HBCU homecoming. I think that would be a lot of fun. Um, so coaching staff, right? Coach Clark, Coach Bonner, two experienced coaches of the game. Coach Bonner, obviously a local coach. When you look at those two coaches compared to last year, what were you kind of looking at, and what are some things you learned last year being a first time head coach about putting together a staff?
Well, again, and this is let me speak to my previous staff first. I put those guys through the ringer last year. Our travel was intense. We came out gangbusters, man. I mean, we had a lot of guys at camp. I think we were on the right track, and we did a lot of great things. But I had a lot of guys that were coaching in the arena game for the first time, right? And even if they had been previous coaches on other staffs, and I'll reference Brandon Sutton and Mike Green, they had more responsibility uh, with me than they probably did in previous seasons because I believe in giving my coaches the autonomy to coach. For Mike Green, Mike can still play, right? So his best asset as a coach is he could show you exactly what he wants you to do physically, right? So he wants to play. So he hasn't completely made the transition from player to coach yet, but just listening to him coach last year, his knowledge of the game was incredible. The thing is he could still play, right? And I think that's a hard transition from player to coach, right? Coach Sutton, he's building a family. He's a manager. He got promoted at his job. He's making big money. It was a tough commitment, and let me give him kudos. This is a guy that helped me close out the season at the end. Your off season closeout that week after your last game can sometimes be the toughest week. Without Brandon Sutton, I never get through that, right? Ray Isaac, history in the indoor game, has won games, but that doesn't mean that doesn't always translate to coaching, right? So I had great coaches. Ray Flowers, another great coach, right, but new to the indoor game. So you want everything to be perfect when you have a bunch of rookie coaches led by a rookie head coach, right? Everything else got to be perfect because none of us truly had the true experience of dealing with some of the insanities that go with the indoor game. So now you asked me about Coach Clark and Coach Bonner. I just gave you the answer, right? These are guys that have been through the ups and downs, the grind, what's required toward the end of the season, how to keep players' minds focused through the ups and downs of the business. And for me, if I have to step to the business side in some cases throughout the season, Coach Clark and Coach Bonner have the experience where they can kind of spearhead things for a couple days if I have to step back for any reason. And I think that's probably the biggest reason why I went with them. I mean, Coach Clark's played. He's played under Coach Fuller. You know how I feel about Coach Fuller. The knowledge base has just been amplified with these two guys. Coach Bonner has, coached in the IFL. He coached at Salina. I mean, these guys know the game. I'm pretty confident, but I'm also comfortable saying in some cases these guys probably know the game better than I do, right? So they're going to level up our locker room, which in turn is going to level up the education for our players. And I want to bring a championship to Greensboro. I'm tired of freaking saying it, man. I just want to freaking do it. So I wanted to surround myself with the same way we put talent on the field and players. You got to put talent on the field in coaches, and I amplified our talent by hiring those two guys.
So I kind of know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask. So I know you were the play caller this year for the offense. Are you going to be handing it off to your new coordinator? Is that something you're going to be holding on to?
Me and Coach Clark are going to talk. That's tough, man. It's tough, but I can't give the same speech I give to the guys about sacrificing for the betterment of the team, and then not doing it. So if it makes sense for Coach Clark to call plays, then he's going to call plays. If it makes sense for me to call plays, then I might call plays. We may rotate. This is the way. I don't see anywhere in the NAL rule book where it says one guy is the only guy that can call plays. We got headsets. Who knows what we're going to do, right? And that lends a lot to what I tried to do at the end of last season when I had Ray Isaac call the last game. I wanted to see if I could throw tie night off by putting in a different play call. Didn't work out, is what it is. But my initial answer is we haven't made that decision in fully yet.
Coach, really appreciate your time. I mean, always great conversation. I think this was a great conversation to kick off this new culture, new era. I wanted to ask you, starting to kick off, you have a tryout September 28th. I know when you have tryouts, a lot of guys show up, and there are guys who ball out at these tryouts. There are also guys who show up and, they show up out of shape. You probably recognize that within the first 5 minutes of, who hasn't been training. Speak to me about the importance of guys coming to tryouts fully prepared and not wasting anyone's time.
So, I mean, you said it right there, Krish. Don't waste my time, number one. And number two, recognize you are trying out for a professional football team. I can't fathom, it's only $60. I know some guys pay a couple grand to go to these other league tryouts. So why waste $60 if you're going to come in out of shape and not ready? Just keep the $60 and go eat something, right? Especially if you're out of shape, you might as well eat. I take our tryouts very seriously. At least 50% of the guys that were invited to my camp last year came from tryouts. So, I know that the old adage around the indoor game is tryouts are money grabs. First of all, if you think that, you truly don't know the business of indoor football. I don't know what you think I'm making off of a $60 tryout. I'm not making anything. I got to pay for a field. I got to pay for insurance. There are costs associated with that. I got to give you a T-shirt and all that stuff. So it's not a money grab. And for me, I take it real serious because I can find guys in tryouts that can make a difference. Javon Hayes was arguably the NAL Defensive Rookie of the Year. That's my opinion, of course. I got him out of a tryout, right? David Brown Jr. came through tryouts. So, guys come through tryouts and take jobs from guys that I sign and make signing announcements in the offseason. You would be crazy to come to a tryout out of shape and just waste your time. At least in Carolina, I'd rather you not come. Right now, other teams may use it as money grabs, and you go and you already know their roster, and you probably you know in the back of your mind you're not going to make it, but that's just not how we roll in Carolina. So I'm hoping that A, we get a ton of registrations, and that B, you come correct, right? My coaches are all going to be there. Deron Clark doesn't live in Carolina. He's coming for the tryout. Mike Bonner lives in Charlotte. He's driving down. So, we take it seriously. We expect the players to take it seriously, and anybody who who can't do that probably shouldn't come.
Coach, appreciate your time. I mean, great conversation with you. And I look forward to speaking with you here in the coming future. But best of luck, going forward.
Thanks, fellas. I love it. I appreciate it. I miss this. I'm done resting, so we can have as many shows as you want.
Hudson Auto Works is conveniently located off of Highway 29, 812 Post Street, Greensboro, North Carolina. Our beautiful 15,000 square feet facility is home to 21 highly trained professionals offering used car sales, collision repair, automotive detailing, and the best customer service you won't find anywhere else. Visit us at www.hudsonautoworks.com or call us at 336-772-0685.
When you have a hankering for a hearty breakfast of good old-fashioned comfort food, come on down to Jesse's Diner in Greensboro, North Carolina, for a wide range of tasty, fresh cooked options. Located at 2606 West Gate City Boulevard, we're proud of our southern cooking and are here to serve you 3 times a day if need be. Read more about us or check out our menu options to find your new favorite breakfast, lunch, or dinner today. Jesse's Diner is also a proud member of Cobra Nation. Support Jesse's Diner and your Cobras.
We're going to Grandma's house. Let's go. We're late. Let's go.
Hey, what do you know, my love? I need you so where we belong together. When you're by my side, you know I feel alright, 'cause we belong together. Da, 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 da. We belong together.
At Sam's Club, you'll find the food, decor, and surprises to make the holidays merry. All you need to make it merrier is each other. Sam's Club, let's get together.
I want to introduce someone, I have a lot of respect for, a lot of experience in the indoor game, the pride of Atlanta, offensive coordinator, Coach Clark. Coach, how we doing?
Hey, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. So, I kind of want to dive right in, right? Last year, you had an experience being the head coach of Cedar Rapids. If there's one thing or one experience that kind of defined your time there, what would it be?
It was, being the head coach and general manager, I learned a lot, all the pros and cons that came with being head of an organization, things what to do and not to do. And so I know how to lead a team. So Coach brought me on to help him so we can, bring a championship back to Greensboro.
So, Coach Clark, man, good to meet you. Along the same lines, what made you decide to come and be the OC here with the Cobras?
Greensboro have a lot of great history. Coach, like he said, I was coach under Coach Fuller, Coach Rez, and Coach Lee Johnson, all my mentors, and I seen what they did there. Also, my cousin, Charles McCullough, he was the quarterback there when they won a championship in 2018. And I always liked it, what the Cobras had going on in the years. And I see great things, like, sponging from Coach, coaching under him and teaching the guys more about the arena game, ins and out of the game, and just, bring some wins back to Greensboro.
Coach Clark, one thing I noticed about you, and I can say this openly, you're one of the most proactive recruiters I know in the game. When I send you a guy, or say anyone sends you a guy, player sends you your film, what steps do you take to kind of evaluate them?
I watch their film and see if they playmakers, like catching the ball, blocking, doing all their assignments on the field. Speed, that's one of the main things in arena football, that you got to have speed. You got to know how to control your speed, run routes to get each other open, things like that. When it comes to the receiver position, quarterbacks, I watch their steps, watch if they are dual threat or a pocket quarterback, and just, I jot down my notes, and me and Coach, we go over it together, and we just try to put the process together so we can have a great camp this year.
So, Coach, when you're looking at building the offense for this year, right? Because you'll be helping do that whether you're calling the plays or not. But when you're helping to build an offense, what kind of players or what kind of style do you want to kind of lead the Cobras toward for next year, or help them get for next year, I should say?
You know, like the indoor game, they had different rules. Like the AIF, we had one motion, so most of the time it was man to man. But in the NAL, I have an opportunity to run the jets, different motions. I'm looking at guys who have great hands, size, also like undersized receivers who can make plays, make the 50-50 catches, who can block downfield and be very aggressive, be aware of what's going on and off the field as well.
You know, Coach, I wanted to say one thing. Is last year you made a really gutsy call and you took out Verlon Reed and you put in Caleb Sullivan, a young quarterback from Midwestern State. You moved Verlon Reed to receiver at one point. Talk about Verlon and kind of finding players who are so team-oriented.
Oh, Verlon, the leader. We played together back in 2021 in NAZ, and I know he was a leader off the field because you know how players be when they want to fight over a number. And I came in and both of us wore number 1 or whatever. And he was like, man, you're a vet. You can have number 1. I wear number 3. And I'll always known him as a true team player. So when I seen Caleb have good practice and he had like a good moment with the receivers, Verlon wanted to move to receivers, show his receiver ability as well, because you know he played receiver at Ohio State, so he was able to play quarterback and receiver, and he made some plays for me.
Piggybacking off that, how important do you feel in the Arena League game is versatility? Guys that can play multiple positions, sometimes offense and defense, but that can play multiple positions. Do you feel like that gives like more value to that position because it's kind of like having two players in one?
Yes, it help our depth. Like if one DB go down, we have a receiver that can play cornerback. He could play cornerback into the DB. Okay, if he out, he can play the whole game. Also, if a receiver go down, we have a DB that can play receiver. They help our depth a lot when we put our roster together for the travel. We also have a lineman that can play DN or linebacker that can play running back. That help us a lot.
I wanted to ask you outside of football, you know, kind of moving away, what have you been doing to kind of occupy your time, and what are some things you're involved in outside the game?
I just been staying busy, mentoring kids, training kids, and just getting ready for the season, just recruiting. I recruit so hard. I be on the phone all day, every day, from players from all around the country who want to play football and go up and play on the next level.
So I know you've had some time in Greensboro before. I'm sure they're glad to have you back. How does it feel different being back now than it was when you were, there previously?
It was a great opportunity to play against them when I played with the Orlando Predators and teams in the NAL. I played for the High Country Grizzlies in Boone, so it's not that far from Greensboro. So it's a great atmosphere. It's a great vacation spot when people want to come and visit North Carolina, like the cabin areas in the mountains and things like that. They have a great fan base. They very, very like culture, like bought in with the team, and I like that a lot about Greensboro.
You know, Coach, you dropped a dime on your Facebook the other day. I love this. You said, preseason isn't about making the team; it's about making the league. And kind of your experience at the upper league with the CFL. What's one thing you kind of took away from that whole opportunity?
Oh, that opportunity in CFL, I understood that they could only have 21 Americans on the roster when I was there. And so I knew I wasn't fighting against the Canadian player. I was going against the guy next to me that's from America. So I was so focused trying to make the 53-man roster. They roster be more because it's 12 men on the field. But I was so focused on making a roster, I was just just tuned in, trying to show every other team in the league what I had just in case I got released. But I was, blessed enough to be around for the 2010 and win a Grey Cup that year.
Coach, do you feel like having played the game yourself and, of course, had success, that you see the game like a little differently. Sometimes it slows down for you. You see certain things that maybe a guy who has the understanding but just hasn't played may not pick up the little ticks and little nuances.
Like I tell my receivers, make your motions look the same, because if you slow down on your motions, they could tell it's run. So make every motion look the same. Stem all your routes. Guys have to run routes to get each other open. Most of the young guys, they come in, they don't know how to motion as well. So I'm hands-on. I get out there and show them guys what I want, because being a great route runner, in the indoor game, it help you a lot on the outdoor game. So these guys have to communicate, be consistent, be confident in their routes, and make the 50-50 catches.
Coach, I think I speak for all of us. It's so great to have you on our side. I think this offense is going to do unspeakable things this season. It's going to be great. My question for you, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who's the coldest receiver in the NFL and the indoor game?
Well, I'm a small guy, and my favorite receiver ever was Steve Smith, because he was very aggressive. And I tried to play like him in college. I block because everybody can catch. Everybody can score touchdowns, but you got to block. And they see that you can block and you can play all phases of the game. They get you to the next level. And guys in the arena, right now that's playing, I like that boy Darius Price. Like he been very consistent. Me and him been playing against each other when he was Lehigh and now with High Country Grizzly, and we always communicated back and forth across the bench. Like, I'm going to score a touchdown. I'm next. We coming. And I always watched his game, and he did a great job this year with Albany, but they fell short in the championship.
Right now, Dante Lyons is still a monster at return, and he can make something magical happen here.
Yeah, Cobra Nation, really great show, having two great coaches on, really excited for the season. I feel this is going to be a big year for us as an organization, and it's so great to be back doing the show. We got so much in plan, like I said earlier. To close the show, we're doing a ticket giveaway. So those who interact with our shows, comment, like, share, follow Shady Sports, follow the Cobras page, follow Coach Negron and Coach Clark both on Facebook. Show love, and we'll show you love back. We'll be giving away a pair of tickets to start September. Start your month off right. 2 free tickets to the Cobras, and just engage. And I look forward to seeing y'all soon in the next show. And let's go Cobras.